Alrighty, I think we are live. Let's see. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, it looks like we are live. Okay. Alright, there we go. Yeah, alright, so the stream has began. Alrighty, so yeah, welcome to the stream. Today we are going to be talking about Hurricane Irma. So Irma is going to be an interesting storm. Very interesting storm indeed. It's looking like it's going to be a more extreme storm for this time of year especially. So yeah, people just need to be looking out for it because the storm is looking like it's going to be a problem. So since this storm is going to be a more extreme storm, that's why I'm doing this, because of the extreme that we could be getting to with this current storm. So I find it very interesting, this storm, and I hope that you guys do as well. So yeah, this storm is, you can expect this storm to well, head along the coast, and you can expect it to hit Puerto Rico. You can expect it to hit many areas here. So yeah, you can see Puerto Rico. You can see as the storm heads up just where exactly this thing is headed. But after this around here is where I do expect this to no longer be a Category 4, but actually a Category 5 hurricane. So yeah, a Category 5 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Not completely out of the question here. So here's the cone of uncertainty. So now that we do have that, let's just turn that off. You can see the hurricanes right here. So let's take a look at the current wind fields of this storm. So you can see the current wind radius. You can see where those major hurricane force winds are. And you can see here the tropical storm force winds expanding out quite a bit actually from the center. You can then see those hurricane force winds, and then you can also see, especially towards the core there, those major hurricane force winds coming out of Hurricane Irma. So that's what's going on with Irma there. Getting into the forecast track, here's what the tracks have been forecasting. They'll be reran to go to Irma's current position here shortly. But we first of all ignore this one, that's extrapolation. What I noticed here most is that we're seeing this storm right here. We're seeing this track, sorry. So this track right here. So this is, a lot of these, the main consensus is taking this very close to the Leeward Islands and bringing it up north, with lots of landfalls being in the Georgia, South Carolina area. I actually have a larger model spread here that I will actually show you now at some point. But yeah, that model spread is something I'll be showing you any minute now. So let me just get to it real quick, and then I can show you what I'm talking about when I say these models. The spread on them is just insane. There you go. Look at that. You can see just how many different areas could be impacted by this. So it's just nuts how much uncertainty we truly do have with this. All these are forecast tracks. All of these are forecast tracks. So you can see the forecast tracks are not really in that great of a consensus right now. And we'll hopefully get into a better consensus here relatively soon. The hurricane is still going to probably hit the United States. There's no doubt about it. This hurricane will be impacting somewhere in the United States. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the forecast models and everything. And here's what I'm going to do. We're going to make everything disappear here. I'm going to turn on a weather model called the Global Forecast System. We're going to go to the surface winds. These are the winds at the surface of the storm. So here we are. You can see them right now. So this means that this is clearly Irma, and we can see that where Irma is going to go with this future cast. So first of all, I want to show you what wind speeds we're talking about here. We're talking about like 75 knots. That's about 95 miles an hour right now, is what the GFS thinks. Now, obviously, it's more intense than that, so it didn't quite initialize it properly. But here's what I want to show. I want to show you can see those greens there. Those are winds exceeding 95 miles an hour. I'm at 95 knots, which is Category 3 hurricane intensity. Looky here. This is Irma, and if I Lord, I'm congested today. If I show you this, you can see here we're exceeding 100 knots. This is a strong Category 3. You can probably make this a weak Category 4 now. But you can see the storm headed very close. How strong are the winds there? Those are very strong winds. Yeah, look at that. That's a Category 4 hurricane that it's expecting by right here. And it's expecting it to be around that same intensity as it does head through the Leeward Islands. So Irma is already a very powerful storm. Now let's actually just zoom out a little bit and see where this is going to go. Now, I do see a ridge and a low here. So I'm going to just predict that it's going to do something like this. It's going to follow that weakness. So let's see what exactly actually happens. So the GFS taking it along its path. Now, it's probably going to take the same path that I just said. Look at how powerful, look at how intense this hurricane is. All around the center, we have at least Category 2 winds. I think, though, that we could be getting, yeah, that's strong Cat 4. That's a strong Category 4 right now. So we have a strong Category 4 hurricane headed up through the coast. I mean, look at this. You can see those 110 mile an hour winds. So this is nuts. I meant not mile an hour, 110 knots, which is about 130, 145 miles an hour. And you can see the storm, here it is continuing to intensify. Very strong Category 4 now, almost approaching that Category 5 intensity, which is something that we do not want to know about. So here we are now. Look at how vast these tropical storm force winds expand now. Very vast wind field. Did I see a 130 in there? I think I may have saw a 130. Did I see that? Excuse me. Alright, let's see. Alright, so you live in... Alright, so here we are. We got a couple of things in the chat. VapeSig says he lives in Houston. Thought the GFS model had a 30% for this to find its way into the Gulf. Yeah. There is that chance that this could go into the Gulf of Mexico. The chance is just getting exponentially lower, though. So I wouldn't really worry about it if I were you. At this point, just the... if we talk about things at the upper levels of the atmosphere, we see here we have a low, we have a high, and we have another low. And you can see right around here, this is where that weakness is going to be. And hurricanes like to take the path of least resistance. So Hurricane Irma would take a path like this, and there would be more resistance here. So I don't think that the chance of something going into Houston is high at all. So yeah, I really don't think that we are going to be seeing anything there. So if you're in Houston, I know you guys just got really battered by Harvey, and you aren't really going to probably need to experience anything else at this time. So yeah, fortunately for you, you will not be having to experience anything else. Hopefully, you are nice and safe. But let's continue with the future of Hurricane Irma. You can see now, look at how intense those winds are. If we actually go here, we can see 133 knots. That makes it a Category 5 hurricane. That's a Category 5, folks. Category 5 in the Bahamas. And that's what the GFS is thinking. So if we have this Category 5 in the Bahamas, what's it going to do once it moves out? So you can now see those powerful Category 5 winds around the center, but you can see here still around a Category 5 storm. The storm's still very, very powerful. And as it heads up, it doesn't really matter if it's a Category 4 or 5. It's just going to have nuts winds. But I'll continue to show you the wind speeds of the storm. Now looking like it's a Category 4, so it's weakened down just a little bit. And the storm is then going to head up. You can see here getting very close to Florida. Those tropical storm force winds, you may get a few of tropical storm force winds on Florida. But the storm continues up the coast. Very powerful Category 5 hurricane at this point. The storm is then going to continue to head up the coast. So unfortunately, the GFS is saying that it looks like the Carolinas will be the ones that get hit. So you can see it as it does head towards the Carolinas. Now, as I would think, yeah, a Category 5 hurricane. So we have a Category 5 hurricane here going in to the Carolinas. So if we watch it as it gets really close, you can see still a Category 4 hurricane going straight in there. That's nuts. So you can see this would be a massive hurricane, and there you can see it making that landfall into the Carolinas. Then we have Tropical Storm Jose. Jose, I think is what they're going to call it. And Tropical Storm Jose will just be headed up and will just continue along as a tropical storm overall. That's at least what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this isn't going to do as much as Irma did, nowhere near as much. I don't think it's going to be as violent and as dangerous as Irma was. So that's a good thing. But yeah, going back to the 3-hour mark, there's Irma now, and we can see this is going to probably strengthen and head into the Carolinas. So southward, loss of latitude, then a giant gain of latitude as it heads up here. That's what the GFS thinks. That is the Global Forecast System. Now, that is the current run of the Global Forecast System. Other runs have shown, and this is going to change, people. This is not for certain what we're going to be seeing. This is not certain at all. There have been runs that have shown, and God forbid this happens, but there have been runs that show New York getting hit by this system. Now, if you would like, I can actually show you that. Actually, here, I'll just get right there, and I'll show you that. So let me actually pull that up. But there was a run of the GFS that did show New York getting hit by this tropical system. If I can pull it up, I'll get that to you just as soon as I can. So if I just continue to go back down, trying to find the model run that shows the New York landfall. Yeah, there we go. I think I found it. So here, I'll get that up on your screen now. So here we are. We have the storm in New York. Here it is. So let's drag it back. You can see Irma down here going straight up into New York. So that is another possibility. Like I said, this stuff changes some. So I could, and if I go to the current run, it shows a Carolina landfall. If I go back a while before that, a good while before that, it shows it going out to sea. You can barely see it there. So there is no certainty with this at all. There's a lot of uncertainty actually with this system. So just be on the lookout for it as time does go on. Just be aware. I think that the Gulf of Mexico is out of the woods. I think that you don't need to worry about it. If you're in the Gulf of Mexico, I think you're out of the woods. I think that the places that do need to worry about it are Puerto Rico, the Leeward Islands, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Cuba, the Bahamas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania, the entire eastern seaboard. So we'll just have to see what exactly does happen with this. If we actually go to the NAM, you can actually see a very detailed depiction of Irma shown to you by the NAM if this will show up. It sometimes does take a little bit for the NAM images to load because they are such a high resolution, and the machine that I am working with right now is not the fastest machine in the world. So while we wait for that to load, I guess I can get you the latest stats on Irma. Irma is currently a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 115 miles an hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. Now, very shortly, I will be actually going and giving you my own stats and putting up my own forecast. So you'll be able to see that here within the next half an hour or so. So yeah, if you do have any questions or comments in chat, be sure to let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer those. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching right now. Yeah, Irma is a very, 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 very interesting storm that is continuing to move along as we do just continue to take a good look at what exactly is going on. The storm is continuing to move along, move through, and we'll just have to see what exactly happens. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually just going to forget about the NAM. We don't need to look at the NAM, I don't think. But here's what I will do. I'll go back to the GFS. I'll go back to the GFS for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the surface, no, not the surface wind gust, the precipitatable water. So this is the water that could fall out of the sky. So there we go. You can see now the precipitatable water. If we actually go to the NAM, surface wind gust, maybe it'll load now. No, it won't. Okay. So we'll just go to the precipitatable water. So, getting into precipitatable water, you can see Irma does have quite a bit of precipitatable water. It's actually kind of nuts just how much precipitatable water this storm does have. And you can see just how much it grows. And it's not just going to be a rainmaker, but it's going to be a windmaker. And you can see just how massive this storm is now. This is an absolutely massive storm. This makes Hurricane Joaquin from back in 2015 look like a dwarf. I mean, it really isn't all that small. It's a very gigantic storm. It's an absolutely gigantic storm. Okay, so here's what I got. I got VapeSig saying, talk about the weather trough coming in U.S. and cold front. So let's talk about, yeah, that trough that's coming into the U.S., which will be impacting Irma, that negatively tilted trough you see there. Here's what I gotta say about that. So if we go back to around current time, let's actually let's get everything on here, and I'll let you know how that's doing. So if we go to the cold front, I think the cold front trough thing that VapeSig is talking about is up here. So up here, I think, is that trough, and that trough is going to obviously dip down into the United States and cause some cooling. So let's actually go, let's see what the GFS says about that. So if we go to the weather models and we go to the GFS, here's Here's what the GFS is saying right now. So you can see clearly that cold front and trough kind of thing going on here. There you go. So here's there it is, the cold front trough. And if we go and just advance that in the future a little bit, you can see just how cool it is up there. It's only like 7 degrees. It's like 23 degrees. Why is it so cold? Why is it saying it's so cold here? That's very confusing. Why it's saying that. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. My future cast is having some problems right now. Hopefully I can get those fixed. But let's hope that the Nam can have something better to say about that. Unfortunately, it does not look like my future cast is wanting to work very well with the temperatures. So we'll actually just take a look at this using absolute vorticity, which also does show Irma over there. But you can see that trough there, that very clearly defined trough. Okay, so now VapeSig says, how does it relate to Irma, the trough? So how that relates to Irma is, while this is coming down, it's going to cause cooler air here. How it relates to Irma is, you see Irma, let's actually just drag the GFS forward some to around 81 hours from now. You can see this trough in full swing, bringing colder weather and some wind and rain over here. But we have this high pressure over here. So we have the low, that is the trough, and we have the high. Now Irma is right here. So what's going to happen is that this high has been shoving Irma south. And naturally hurricanes want to go northward, because that is the path of least resistance. So if it has this opportunity, while it is open wide for the Gulf, it's also open wide to go north. And what hurricanes want to do is go north. So what it'll do is it'll take this northward path, and it will, because the ridge and the low have a weak spot here that the hurricane can slide right through. So that's how it relates to Irma. If this ridge stayed stronger and went over the United States, and this low were right here, it would influence this to go right over and into Houston, but the ridge is not going to be that strong. So luckily that will not be doesn't look like this will be a overly bad situation for anyone in the Gulf of Mexico. The only people that could get it are the western side of Florida. They could get some winds from this. But you can see the very strong vorticity that Irma does provide, and you can see that as it does head up, it's a very strong hurricane. And so Irma, luckily, is not looking like it's going to hit anyone in the Gulf, but unfortunately it does look like somewhere on the eastern seaboard will be experiencing a very powerful hurricane, that being Hurricane Irma. So unfortunately that does look like it's going to happen. It does not look like there's anything that's going to stop it, unless it does go out to sea. I know that there will be at least a single spot that will be getting at least tropical storm force winds along the eastern seaboard. So that's not exactly a good thing. And like I said, we have that very high amount of precipitatable water coming in from this system. And since the system is going to have such a high amount of precipitatable water, it's just going to cause overall some problems for the coast. So yeah, they're already getting some rain now. Later on, they're going to be getting very heavy rain. But here we are. Let's actually get the mean sea level pressure there as well. You can see very low pressure. Very low pressure. This is actually looking pretty nuts. I mean, you can see there the ISO bars going just crazy. But that's what exactly is going on there. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to pitifulweather.com. Curious if any of you guys have heard of it, but it's a great site. They do a lot of stuff. Now, Vape Sig asking, what if there wasn't a trough? So I guess we can just talk about that real quick. So I'll get rid of that. We'll talk about that just a little bit later. But first, let's get started with what would happen if there wasn't a trough. So let me kind of make that overall structure that you're probably talking about. So we go over here, and if I see this, we have this high, we have another low over here, and we have Irma in the middle of it all. But we don't have a trough over here. So we have this high that's already coming in over here, and since we don't have this negatively tilted trough, there would be no resistance. This ridge would be able to get very strong over the Atlantic and would keep Irma south. And what would probably happen is either Irma would go to Georgia or go through Florida, and then if there was a low right here, it would head up here. It depends on the location. There are a lot of different factors, but if there wasn't a trough here, the Gulf of Mexico would be in a threat and the East Coast would not. So that's what would happen if there wasn't a trough. And if you do have any more questions, just put them in the chat. I'll be more than glad to answer those. But now let's go back to pitifulweather.com. So on this website, it really is a great website. We can take a look at what these weather models are thinking. So if I go up here and I get this animated, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to talk about the southern United States. If we go to the southwest, the mid-Atlantic, this will be interesting. So if I actually just take a look at the southeast United States first. There we go. We have the southeast. It's not quite there. Let's just do the United States, the continental United States. And let's take a look at what Irma's going to do. So, with Irma headed up here, this would probably be what would happen. So, here, I'll just drag this down for you just a little bit, just so you can see what exactly would happen. There you go. So here's what Irma is going to look like. This is just an inevitability. This is what it looks like Irma's going to intensify to. Irma's going to be an extremely intense tropical system as it does head up the coast. But here's what I want to talk about with this. And yes, VapeSig, you are correct when that cold front is a lifesaver for you in Houston. Here we are with the thing. Now, this is a 884 hectopascal storm at this point. That is the exact same as the lowest pressure system ever in the Atlantic Ocean. That's pretty dang low. That is Hurricane Wilma of 2005. And if we take a look here, you can see now 882, and it just barely beats the record at 882. With this run. There have been other runs in the past, if I actually go to tropicaltidbits.com, that have shown there to be some record-breaking. If I go to the Zero Zulu run, and we just take that on, this one ain't quite it. It was one in the past. There was one in the past that did show record-breaking low pressure. So if I can get to that, here we are. So VapeSig also asking, will Houston get nice weather during the hurricane? Well, it looks like the GFS says so. Looks like the GFS says you'll be getting very nice weather throughout a lot of this. So, yeah, you'll probably be seeing fairly nice weather. Yeah, I mean, you may get a little bit of rain, but not enough to do anything particularly devastating like Harvey. But yeah, it looks like you're going to get relatively nice weather, according to the GFS. I find it very interesting though, how low, how intense these models are making this hurricane. Here, I found one, if you watched my update last night, where it went down to 887 millibars. So you can just look at that if you want to get the absolute latest on that. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. Uh, so here's what else we're taking a look at. We're taking a look at another invest that could become Jose. So I guess we'll just take a look at that real quick on the 5-day formation outlook by the National Hurricane Center. So the National Hurricane Center makes these quite a bit. And so there's Irma, and if we take a look at the 5-day formation outlook, you should see a storm that could potentially form here, a potential formation of a storm. Apparently not though, so yeah, I guess this is still struggling to load everything up. But if I take a look at this, let's take a look at the GOES full disk. Let's take a look at what GOES says about the satellite, about the hurricane. It's really struggling to load things up. I think I'm going to restart the program in just a sec. Oh, there we go. We have one side of it now. Look at that. Look at that thing. That low. Let's go in there. All right. What do you think it will be as a? Do you think it will be as slow moving as Harvey was? I do not think that Irma will be quite as slow as Harvey. But there's Irma right there, very powerful hurricane. I may even call that a Category 4 right there, folks. Look at that structure. That's, with the exception of the eye not being popped out, that's almost a perfect structure. Here we are, just with Irma. Thank you all so much for tuning in. But yeah, hey Hyperfire, how are you doing? And by the time this thing makes landfall, it will probably not be moving as slow as Harvey was. Unfortunately, though, actually, for you, VapeSig, there is this down here that's looking like it could be a potential problem for you. Because this, I think the NHC is giving it a 20% chance of development right now. But if this does develop, it would naturally, because there's no steering current, probably meander around but go north and be a very slow-moving system. And it depends on where that would go. So it depends on how strong it would get. But if this went to Houston again, that would be just catastrophic. Hopefully we don't have to see that happen. But continuing on, just going over the overall situation, that other invest that's probably going to become Jose is right there. And then we also have this low right here. So we have this upper level low that is gaining some strength here, but I do not think will become a tropical system. I just seriously doubt that we will be seeing a tropical system out of this. Just seriously doubt it. But yeah, this could become Jose. We'll just have to see. Irma now having a very powerful outflow boundary. That is looking very good on Irma, and is just overall a very, very impressive feat that's capable of doing that. Hi, El Weirdo. How are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Here we are with just some more information on this hurricane as it does continue to move along. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. 6 people, that's quite a few people. Uh, Hyperfire just said this is the first time that he's heard someone say his name on YouTube. Well, I'm glad I was able to do that for you, Hyperfire. Uh, you know, I actually did check out your channel. You do make some good intro and outro stuff. Uh, so yeah, that stuff is pretty cool. But yeah, cool stuff there. So yeah, just everyone, thank you for tuning in. Uh, this is just it's I'm just happy that I'm providing this many people with coverage of this hurricane. But this hurricane is going to just intensify and intensify and intensify. Here we are. Since I know that we do have some new people here, I will just go over the overall forecast track. So if I go for the official forecast track, here's what we see. We see the cone of uncertainty there. And you can see, I think that the NHC just came out with a brand new advisory. There we go. So that'll be here fairly soon. The new cone will be here. But you can also see now that there's Jose right there, and you can see just how this is going. And you can also see there you are with that low chance of that Gulf system that I was talking about before as well. But there we are with the new advisory now talking about a Category 3 storm with winds of 120, 125 miles an hour in wind speeds very soon, getting up to 135, and then expected to weaken down. This is confusing to me, to a Category 3. I think this will maintain Category 4 status throughout this here, and I think it may even strengthen throughout here. I am confused as to why some people are saying it will weaken. Maybe some of you in the chat can tell you. And I'm glad that you're glad that you found me, Vapesig. Because, yeah, I love to do this weather coverage stuff, and so, yeah, thank you so much. The storm is just a nut storm to me. Irma is intense. It's very unique, and it's something that we'll never ever see again. Just like Harvey. Harvey was also very unique in its own way as well. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, if you do have any more questions or comments, just let me know. Here we are, another question from Vapesig. Hurricanes never form in the Gulf, correct? Hurricanes have actually formed in the Gulf multiple times. I think that there was, I think in 2010, a Hurricane Carl that formed in the Gulf of Mexico. But yeah, you do occasionally see a hurricane or a tropical storm form in the Gulf of Mexico. They don't happen overly often. They are not the most common thing in the world, but they do happen sometimes. So, yeah, it's not entirely out of the question that a hurricane could form in the Gulf of Mexico, but there really isn't much of a chance of a hurricane forming within the Gulf of Mexico, luckily. Yeah, I wouldn't get too worried about it. I don't think this is going to form, but the NHC is still giving it the slight possibility of that occurring. Here we are. Let's just talk about this sadness over here. That's Tropical Depression Lydia. Not really even tropical anymore, in my opinion. But is post-tropical by the NHC as well. But yeah, Lydia actually did cause quite a bit of damage over in the Baja Peninsula. Yeah, but like I said, thank you all so much for watching and tuning into this. And I am very glad that you all are enjoying this live stream. So yeah, if you do have any other questions or comments, feel free to let me know, and I will be more than happy to answer those. So I guess right now, I think that a lot of people are wondering, like, after what the NHC has said, where exactly is this gonna go? And that's a hard question to answer. If we take a look at their cone of uncertainty and I had to expand on it, I'd probably show something like this. I mean, because it's not completely out of the question that it could clip in the Gulf and then go inland, but it's very unlikely at this time. I think it's going to go out because of that ridge trough combination. I'm not expecting this to become a Gulf system that the people in the Gulf will have to worry about. Something though that this is kind of paralleling, not really though, is Andrew of 1992. If this decides to take the same path as the 1992 storm and already be a category 3 here, oh my goodness, and it strengthened in the same rate, that would be nuts. Although that's just hypothetical talk. That's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, this system here, very powerful. This is a very powerful hurricane. Just keep an eye. If you do have any questions and stuff, feel free to ask me. If you do have any emergency comments or questions, just ask your local emergency officials about things involving emergency preparation and planning for storms. So here we are. So here we are from Dale Paulette saying, Irma, is it gonna hit Nova Scotia, Canada? That is a very interesting question and something that we can't exactly answer for certain right now. Like I've said, it's very uncertain where exactly this storm is going to go. It's not out of the question that as a post-tropical cyclone it will hit Nova Scotia, but it's not something that is guaranteed to happen. But yes, there is a possibility that it could hit Nova Scotia. But yeah, after 5 days out, we really don't know much about where this is going to go, with the exception of the general direction being at around a northward direction after the 5-day point. But yeah, thanks for asking. More stuff that we can talk about is that we have a record-breaking heat wave actually over here in California, San Francisco. That area seems to be getting record heat right now, which is not a very good thing for them, and is unfortunate that they're having to go through that right now. But if we take a look at the 2-meter temperatures here, those should come up here in just a moment. We will be able to just see, well, just how hot this stuff is getting. Because here we are now. I think that the temperature stuff is borked up for some reason, though, on this program, so it does not look like we'll be able to talk about that too much. Here's 10-meter winds for you. I'm not sure if they do extend quite out to Irma. No, they barely don't make it. But that would be useful to know, those estimated wind speeds. But yeah, Irma is just looking like a very powerful hurricane overall. You can see the very well-defined structure of this system. Yeah, but thank you all for watching this live stream. I am so happy that I'm able to really be able to give information to so many people, and that this many people, I guess, care about this stuff and about the work that I do. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you all so much. And thank you all for the support that I've been given on my tropical updates as well. One of my updates, the update on Lydia, getting over 1,000 views. That's insane, guys. That's just nuts. I've never gotten that opportunity before. So yeah, thank you all so much for that. But yeah, since Irma is the topic of discussion, I guess we can continue to discuss what exactly Irma is going to do and what impacts we could see. So Irma, I think one of the more interesting things is what exactly we're going to really see come out of Irma. So if I go back to the weather models and I go back to the GFS, I can, actually I need to do this on a different thing, but it'll still show you just the same, what I want to talk to you about. So here we go, getting that already. But here we are. I'm on windyt.com. And so if we start right now, here's Irma. There's Irma, and you can see those wave heights there. 31 feet or so. That's high waves. So I'm currently using the ECMWF model for it. If you would like to see the GFS scenario, I can do that. But as we all know, the ECMWF is the more reliable of the two. So preferably we should use the ECMWF for this right now. But there you are with those 31 feet wave heights, and you can continue to see this go along. As time does go on, we are currently at 1 a.m. on Tuesday, Central Daylight Time, which would be 2 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as this continues along, here we are now, about to have this strike the Leeward Islands, and we see waves of up to 40 feet in height. That's nuts. That's high waves. And it's because this storm has just been able to intensify and maintain this high intensity for so long. And then you can obviously see here that 40 feet, now 46 feet. That's nuts. That is high waves. And those are going to, those could be ashore the Leeward Islands. That would be nuts. And you can see just how high these waves up to 16, 15, 14 feet are. And you can see now still 47 feet. That's 49 feet. That's high. And you can continue to see the ECMWF continuing to ramp up the wave heights above 50 feet. Woo! That's literally like a tsunami. 55 feet. Jeez, oh Pete. Yeah, and then we can watch it continue to go along, and you can obviously see now those wave heights have lowered due to the just clashing of islands and stuff. Oh dear lord, what is this? Those are massive waves. 51 feet. And that's a massive field for those waves. You can just continue to watch it go up. And so I'm wondering now, is the ECMWF going to have this also landfall the Carolinas? Unfortunately, it just seems so. Here's what's nuts. Look at this. 10 feet waves extending from New Jersey all the way down to South Carolina. That's massive. And let's take a look at the rainfall of the storm. This is some intense rain. What about winds? I'm honestly just using wind gusts because this does not actually overly these always underestimate intensity, so I'm using wind gusts just to show you what you'll probably be getting. And this is a Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. You can see those nearly 150 mile an hour winds going along there as that storm does go back. So here's the storm around the Dominican Republic. This is at around the 5-day mark for Irma. So you can see here clearly a Category 4 hurricane, winds of up to 151 miles an hour. It's pretty crazy. And up to here you can see those 153, 155 mile an hour winds. And you can watch the storm clear. It's clearly weakening some. Still though clearly a Category 4, but you can see it as it does go up that the system is now strengthening immensely. Now with 155 mile an hour winds, almost a Category 5. And here we go. Look at this. That is Category 5 intensity, folks. This is just off the coast of Florida. This is overland. Look at this. You can see 160 mile an hour winds over land. So let's see. Is it gonna hit New York City? Is Irma going to hit New York City? This is a tough one. We still don't know, like I have said. There have been model runs that have been hinting at the strike of a New York City landfall, but still, like I have said, it is not exactly certain. But I can pull it up for you and show you that model run if you would like, just to clarify that what I am saying is true. Alright, that is still the wrong model run. Maybe it's 12 Zulu yesterday. Yeah, 12 Zulu yesterday. Look at this. You can see that is it hitting New York City. So, New York City getting struck. It's actually going just south of New York City. But still, either way, that's very close, and it's a strong hurricane at this point. So, we'll just have to see what exactly does happen. But still, very impressive. Here we are going back to windy.com. Let's take a look at the GFS's take on the wave situation that Irma has been presenting itself with. Still about that 30 feet, 31 feet that the ECMWF has been indicating. And if we get over to the Leeward Islands, this is at about 1 p.m., 4 p.m. or so on Tuesday the 5th. You can see this is a 37-foot high, 41 feet high are some of the waves. So it's pretty nuts just how high these waves are getting. And so if we then just continue to advance this on, here we are now. These are probably over 50 feet in some spots. Apparently I have been disproven though. The storm just is going to continue along with these massive waves. Look at that. Look at how far these waves go. 10 feet waves go out immensely far. It's nuts. Just how far these waves go out. Look at that. Did you see that? 52 feet? Here, I'm going to try and search for it again. There you go. 52 feet waves. Wow. That's crazy. It's crazy to think about that. 16 seconds it looks like though, so, you know, I mean, still, it's nuts. But you can see there's the center, and you can see it all bulking up to the north. Let's just take a look at the wind gusts right now. Currently, the GFS is predicting. Only predicting a minimal major hurricane right now. With gusts, which is obviously an underestimation. Although now here you can see 125-mile-an-hour winds. That would be something I think would be a little bit more reasonable for the system. Thank you all so much for watching this right now. The storm looking like it will have a Category 4 intensity, 129 miles an hour. But there we go. As this heads up towards Florida, here we are now. Major hurricane still is what we're seeing. Yeah, now well into Category 4 intensity. And if we just bring this up, it's not predicting it to be quite as intense as the Euro, but it's still predicting an intense hurricane to strike the U.S. And you can see there winds of over 100 miles an hour. So if we go to the NAM, I think the NAM may have a detailed depiction, which it does not look like it, of the hurricane, but it does not look like it does have that. Still, though, Irma going to be a nuts storm, and it's going to be a big rainmaker. It's not just going to be a rainmaker, though. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. This will also just be something that demolishes homes, something that is just a rainmaker, and something that just overall is nuts. Are we sure it's going to hit land? That's kind of hard as well. Once again, like I said, it's not we're not certain. I am fairly certain that it's going to hit land, but I'm not going to say that I am 100% sure. But yeah, I'd say that there is a good chance that somewhere along the eastern coast we'll be getting a hurricane. How strong the hurricane will be is also up in the air. It could be I think at the least it would be a strong Category 1, weak Category 2 at most. God forbid this, but a Category 5 hurricane, that would just be crazy and something that would not be expected at all. Just something that would be nuts. I do not expect a Category 5. I would expect a Category 3 to to hit land. For New York specifically, I would say that you'll probably get a Category 2 at most. But there was a model hinting at a Cat 5 landfall in New York, although that is not going to happen, I guarantee you that much. Which is a good thing. So, something else that I just wanted to say real quick is that, well, Hurricane Harvey, we all know about it. It's been destroying things, and it's just been bad. People have lost their homes, some have lost loved ones, and some have even lost their own life due to Hurricane Harvey. And because of that, uh, we could send money Harvey's way. Now, I'm not sure. I've heard there has been some controversy over the American Red Cross, and if when you donate money to them, it actually goes towards what they say it's going to go towards. But if you would like to donate though to the American Red Cross anyway, then I would suggest that you type in 90999 and then after is a phone number, and then after that you type in Harvey. So you text to it Harvey, and then after it you get a text back, you text yes, and you will have $10 donated now towards the people in Hurricane Harvey, at least to the American Red Cross. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that money actually goes towards them. That's just a warning, but I think it does. Just don't quote me on that. But yeah, still, this is a situation that needs to be just watched closely. But yeah, so here's Irma now. Irma's over here. I want to see if the ECMWF initializes it correctly. Yeah, it does initialize it pretty close. But yeah, this is basically Irma right now. And it is a problem. Irma will be a problem to land, unfortunately. That's what we're thinking right now. Hopefully it'll be a fish storm, but that's not looking like it's going to be the case anymore. Alright, I'm going to go now to the National Hurricane Center's website. Because, well, they have a forecast on it. So here it is, Major Hurricane Irma with winds of 115 miles an hour, okay? You got it? Now, 6 hours later, you see that is now also major, and it will remain major. Puerto Rico now within the cone of uncertainty, though. So is some of the Leeward Islands, the Dominican Republic. Haiti is now in the cone of uncertainty as well, and so are the Bahamas and a little bit of Cuba. I would not be surprised if when we wake up tomorrow morning we will also see that Florida is within that cone of uncertainty. Here we are. I'm going to go to the experimental arrival time of winds. So if we go to the most likely time of arrival for these, for tropical storm force winds, here's when you can expect them. So you can see them all right here. So if you live in any of these areas, this is where this is what you want to be looking at. So just take a look, and yeah, just be sure to show this. And then here are also the wind speed probabilities. I'll actually just zoom out a little bit so you can also see the legend there. But there you are with Irma's stats and everything, and there you are with when you can with the odds of experiencing those tropical storm force winds. Yeah, so yeah, once again, like I said, thank you so much everyone for watching. This is when you will probably be experiencing this tropical storm force winds if you can. Alright, well, continuing on with what exactly is going on here. We will now go just back to tropicaltidbits.com, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just go over, and this is for people that are like really into weather. I'm going to try and go over the just how I estimate my intensity for these storms. Oh. There we go. So there you go. Here's the storm currently. So you can see it right now. You can see the eye keeps on wanting to peek out, and then it gets obscured again. And that's a problem that Irma has been burdened with for a lot of her life. But you can see the particularly intense hurricane right here, right now. And the hurricane, here's how I measure its intensity. I currently think it's a Category 3 with winds of 115. Because we have that burst of convection to the side, we do have an eye-like structure. I think this would actually be easier if I just did a single image. But here it is. I can see some dry air getting entrained into circulation. I can see that right there. That burst of convection. The eye getting covered up. I do think this will become a Category 4, though, shortly, like I have been saying. If we go into the intensity forecast models, there you are, and here's what's frightening to me. You can see a model spiking into the Category 5. That's the HMNI. That model spiking this up to a Category 5 hurricane, which I personally think is pretty nuts. Excuse me. Alright, so Jordan B asks, I'm traveling from whatever the state is. I think it's new. I'm sorry, I don't know why I don't know that abbreviation, but I know that wherever you're traveling from, you're traveling to Pennsylvania. From Northwest Pennsylvania to Tampa on the 14th via flight. What should I expect? So here, I'll get right into that for you. So you're planning on flying from Pennsylvania to Tampa on the 14th via plane. So if I take a look at the GFS for this, so there you are, you're in around Northwest Pennsylvania, right around there, correct, and you're going right here. So if that's what's going on, then what you're probably going to see is what this shows, and what this shows is, so here we are. If I go all the way out to the 14th, so the hurricane will have already passed by then. It'll be about 12 Zulu, which is about 6 o'clock in the morning. So this is about 6 in the morning, northwestern. Okay, yes, thank you. So we continue to see we see rain going in on the 14th. We see some rain in Pennsylvania, nothing overly heavy. In Tampa, overall having nice weather. Although about 24 hours from then, things are pretty dry throughout your entire flight. I don't think you're going to have much of a problem there with your flight. I think that everything will be fine. And it's also looking like you'll also be having some pretty warm weather down there. So, yeah, it looks like overall nice weather also over the next few days, maybe a rain shower or two after that. So, that's good for you. It looks like you'll be having a mighty fine experience there. Although, literally 4 days before you get there, 4 days before you get on the plane, this is what'll be right next to Florida. So, you know, I mean, if we're slightly off, that could be a problem, but I don't think it will be. I think that it will be fine. And then this is on the 12th. So on the 12th, you're actually in northwestern Pennsylvania. You're getting plenty of rain there. So yeah, that's what we are expecting at this time. Well, that's what I am expecting at this time. Yeah, thank you for asking the question. Uh, for anyone new watching, let me just brief you on the current situation. We have a hurricane here in the Atlantic Ocean called Irma. Hurricane Irma is a Category 3 with winds of 115 miles an hour. The storm is expected to continue to intensify throughout the next few days by the National Hurricane Center as well as me, although we do disagree around days 4 and 5, because I expect it to continue to intensify while the NHC expects it to weaken. Either way, though, it does look like the United States is under the gun here for an impact. Puerto Rico and the Leeward Islands also under the gun, as well as the Dominican Republic and Haiti. We'll just have to see what happens. I think that the NHC will begin to issue watches and warnings fairly soon, especially by the time it gets to this point. I think this will be when we know a little bit better what exactly this hurricane will be capable of. But yeah, this is what the ECMWF expects it to do. This is where it expects it to move through. And there we are. So if you see where those reds are, wherever the red starts, those are hurricane force winds. And that's what's going to be moving through. So it's a problem. Irma is expected to continue to be a problem. And you are welcome, Jordan. You are welcome. I guess actually, because I just showed you the GFS, I can also show you the ECMWF here for your flight. I think we can get out to the 14th. No, it's I apologize. We actually can't get out to the 14th with the ECMWF, but either way, I do think that things will be nice for you. I think that the ECMWF would think though on the 13th you may get whatever's left of Irma. We'll see. I'll see if the ECMWF. No, the ECMWF isn't going out that far. This is interesting. I just took a look. Look at that. Here, the ECMWF 12Z run just finished. Deep hurricane going out to sea. That's great news. That's excellent news. Wow. Look at that. Alright, Hyperfire asks, are you going to go over typhoons? I can, yes. Yes, I will. Here we are. Since you asked, I sure will. So, first of all, Sanvu is dying a lot and is going to continue to die. There really isn't much to say about that. Mawar is about to hit China, is a weak tropical storm, a minimal tropical storm. At this point, there you are with Mawar, as it does head into China. It hasn't exactly made a landfall yet, though. Let's see, 92W and 93W as well. Here we are. So, let's go in a little bit more depth into these. So first of all, 93W is probably not going to develop into anything. That's simple. 92W. This one looks a little more interesting. If we just take a look at the floater imagery right now, this looks like a very interesting system. So this is a very interesting system indeed. So if I get to 92W, there we go. So look at all the convection. You can see very strong convection with the system. And the system also, you can see a little bit of a spin to it there in those last few frames. But the system is probably going to develop into a tropical depression, maybe a tropical storm. It's kind of hard to tell right now. But yeah, intensification is a possibility. If I do go to the H wharf, which doesn't have it, if I go to the GFS and we get to invest 92W, here's what it says about 92W. So it shows 92W having a defined center of circulation, and then it goes off track. So there we go. Let's just go to the West Pacific overall and see what the GFS says. So overall, in the Western Pacific, So if we look at the Western Pacific, and I just drag it over a little bit. There we go. So here's what the Western Pacific is going to look like. So Western Pacific, it's going to be interesting. We'll see this system. Doesn't look like it's going to develop much. It doesn't look like either of these are going to develop according to the GFS. And then what I think, let's see what the ECMWF thinks, though, about it. Going into vorticity. There's Sanvu, and there's the other storm. And then it does show that area of low pressure there as well. Both of them are consisting with this area of low pressure right here. That's odd, and that's really all the development that I see right now out of these systems, at least at this time. Alright. So now continuing on, I think that's all we really have to say about typhoons, with the exception of the current conditions, which I can just show you right now. In the Western Pacific, sea surface temperatures are pretty warm. Wind shear is a little high, though. I think that is where we're at right now. Something else just to show is that this is becoming a very strong La Nina here, with this Enso neutral now being a very strong La Nina. Very strong La Nina. So that's what we're having right now, and that's going to continue to get stronger. I'm worried about next year. I think next year is going to be more active than this year. And yes, you are correct, Hyperfire, when you do say that my channel is growing quickly. Something odd about that actually is here, if I can talk about this for a little bit. My channel actually, this is a thing that I started doing on the side just recently. And it was just tropical updates, but my main thing is actually for people in St. Louis, and it's weather forecasts for them. So I've ran into a little bit of a conundrum where I'm kind of curious if I should rename my channel to just Microcasting Weather Center, because my tropical updates are a lot more successful than just my normal updates. But yeah, that is true. My channel is growing quickly. Let's just take a look at the H-Wharf's perspective on Irma right now. We might as well. Showing Irma becoming a very strong hurricane. As the H-Wharf always shows every single hurricane to be. It shows here a Category 5 at this point, and it shows a very strong Category 4 right here, and it shows still a Category 4 here, where the NHC predicted a Category 3. So it does predict some weakening. I'm curious as to why that is. So if I go to the GFS and I go to Irma, that'll be interesting to look at. So if I take a look at the stuff, let's actually take a look at the simulated satellite, because I found that interesting. You can see there's the eye, and then you can see it as it dies out. What I really like is the H-Wharf's simulated satellite. I really do like it. It's actually what I put for my thumbnail today. Let's see. Latest Euro model shows it going out to sea. Model keeps changing all the time. Yes, you know, it's kind of funny. At first, the Euro was the one that I and a guy over at Tropical Tidbits were most confident with. It's funny because the thing was so consistent, and it's still very consistent with its current track, but these models are all over the place with what exactly is going to happen. So I've seen I've just seen these models change so much. The ECMWF and the GFS have both changed. ECMWF ramming it into the Carolinas, now changing it out to sea, before even brought it into the frickin' Gulf of Mexico. And now we're seeing the GFS going and slamming it into New York City, and now slamming it into the Carolinas. It's just, where is this hurricane going to go? And that is a question that a lot of people are asking, and I'm not sure what to say. So here we are about 6 hours from now currently, and this is what the H-Wharf says. this storm is going to look like. And this is, I think, a fairly accurate representation. The eye doesn't want to pop out. H-Wharf saying that within the next 12 hours that eye will finally pop out. But here's the funny thing about the H-Wharf. Every hurricane looks somewhat like this by the end of the run for the simulated satellite. Here you go. You can see, though, it does show this thing being massive. And Irma being this perfectly symmetric system. And then you can see Jose back behind it, looking like it's going to be a fast-growing storm. And then if we actually just go to the 10-meter wind speed, I'm seeing a powerful hurricane here. I'm seeing a potential hurricane here. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, but if you guys do have any questions or comments, just be sure to let me know, and I would be more than glad to answer those. If it goes out to sea, could it end up to the United Kingdom as a really bad storm? Well, like I've been saying with a lot of these questions, it's too far out to tell. I mean, it could be, but like I said, there was another person that asked if this could hit Nova Scotia. Like I said, we don't even know what it's gonna do here, so it's gonna be much harder to figure out what it's gonna do all the way up over the United Kingdom. Still, though, a good question. If this were to go for the United Kingdom, which is where Nathan Foy lives, and Nathan Foy is the owner of a company called Force 13, who also does these live coverage segments for hurricanes. You can go check him out. This is going, and I think that if it took this northerly direction after it made Carolina's landfall, I think it could head up and then go around through New Zealand and then go out and up. So I'm not sure what exactly it would do. I'm not sure if a model has the solution yet either. I mean, I'll try to see if I can find the GFS with precipitatable water. There we go. If I go all the way out to the 384-hour mark, it shows it over Nova Scotia. Look at that. So, yeah, we can't really go that far out yet. When is this going to end? When is this live stream going to end, or when is the hurricane going to end? I guess I'll just answer both. The hurricane you can expect to end by mid this month, around the 16th or 17th. This live stream will be ending at around 3:10 Central Time, or 4:10 Eastern Time. But yeah, this live stream, pretty happy with it. And then you can also see another tropical system here out in the Eastern Pacific. We'll be having to watch that as well. Yeah, so here's something else I just wanted to let you know. Tonight there will be another tropical update coming out on Hurricane Irma, so you guys can see that tropical update as it happens. But yeah, so thank you guys all so much for watching this. I hope you're enjoying this stream. I'll just continue to keep you covered with the latest information on these systems as they do move on through. So here, we're just going to go back to the official NHC forecast for Irma. Here we are, and you can see there is the tropical depression. Let's just filter it to the selected stuff, but you can see there the forecast is shifting north some. So we're seeing a northward shift. And then if I take a look at the forecast models for this Category 3 system, you can see there's just extrapolation, so ignore that. But you can see where all these models take it. And look at that. That's a relatively wide model spread. And then let's see. And then I still think, and then Joker's Tantrum says, I still think the worst one recently is Katrina. The worst hurricane in the Atlantic? Yes, I guess. I think Harvey might be worse. Uh, but yeah, Katrina was definitely awful. Uh, I wonder, and then Jordan says, I wonder when we will know if Jose will become a hurricane. Uh, here's what I gotta say to that. It, like I've been saying, I'm not too sure about that. I do have a tropical early warning video actually regarding the system. I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to just take a look. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, Jose, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a hurricane or not. Uh, we'll just have to see. I'm confident it will be a tropical storm, though. And then Hyperfire saying wherever I said Nova Scotia was isn't Nova Scotia. Okay, well, I got that wrong. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. Because I'm a genius. I circled over Newfoundland. Of course I did. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Where is Nova Scotia? Oh, I was close. You gotta admit I was close. There's Nova Scotia. I think. If I got that wrong again, someone please tell me. um, okay, so there we are. But yeah, Jordan, you are correct that the hurricane season does peak on around the 10th. I think it peaks on the 12th of September, and then we see most of our major hurricanes in October. But yeah, circled over Newfoundland. I sure did. I'm tired, okay? Alright, so getting back to Irma, the Category 3 storm, it's pressure 969 hectopascals, 14 miles an hour, going west. It's going around due west, and you can see these models. Now, the uncertainty for this hurricane is crazy. I'll be honest with you. The uncertainty for this hurricane is just crazy. If I go here and I get the tracks, this is the uncertainty that we got for this thing. That's a good amount of uncertainty if you ask me. I mean, you see it all the way from Florida up to New York. So there is quite a bit of uncertainty there with where exactly this hurricane is going to go. Yeah, but sorry about my geographical error of circling Newfoundland instead of Nova Scotia. Okay, so the Category 3 hurricane is just continuing on, and for those new watching, we're going to take a look at the 5-day formation outlook. So this is the 5-day formation outlook for what could be Jose. I'm tempted to call it Jose, but Jose, kind of like how I was tempted to call Joaquin Jacquin. But there it is. The storm's gonna head around here, and then this is where they give the I think 60% chance of development. Is it? Yeah, I think it's the 60% chance of development. And then here's that Gulf of Mexico system that would do something like this. If it did develop, it would head up here and then it would go wham. So yeah, that would be really bad for Texas. Luckily for Texas, though, this does not look like it will be something that Texas will be having to go through. Here's something that I found interesting. Here I'm going to pull up Hurricane Harvey rain totals. Here we go. If I take a look at the total amounts of rain that people in Hurricane Harvey got, I'm pretty sure it was like 40 to 50 inches or so. Like, whatever it was a lot of rain. Here's the image itself. Yeah, you can see. Look at all the rain that people got. There were places with over 50 inches of rain. You can see that. Uh, it's record-breaking rain that people got there. Because Harvey is a crazy, crazy hurricane that well, is dead now, luckily. But yeah, Harvey was bad. Speaking of that, here's what I feel we could do. If you guys would like, I could pull up satellite imagery. Can pull up satellite imagery for Harvey throughout its entire life. All right, Hyperfire asks, could any of the upcoming hurricanes hit Africa? I don't think so, no. No, we will not be getting any hurricanes hitting Africa. Most waves actually come off of the coast of Africa. And the Saharan air, if one did try to come near Africa, would kill it. So, no. And it's also very abnormal for hurricanes to be moving in an eastward direction. So, I do not think that that would be something that would happen. Alright, well, you guys can just let me know in chat when you would like to see, Harvey images. If you would like to see them now, just let me know. But while we are waiting for that, because there is like a 30 to 45 second delay, I'm just going to talk about Irma's stats right now. So currently, Hurricane Irma is a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 115 miles per hour, moving west at 14 miles per hour with a 969 hectopascal pressure. Getting into now Tropical Depression Lydia, it has winds of 35 miles an hour, a pressure of 1,003 millibars, winds of 34 miles per hour, and a storm motion of 8 miles per hour in a north-northeasterly fashion. North-northwesterly, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's basically what's going on there. Like I said, if you do have any questions or comments, just let me know, and I will be more than happy to answer those. Alright, so it looks like Jordan does want to see the Hurricane Harvey satellite imagery as it does happen. Yeah, so I'll show you the Hurricane Harvey stuff. I'll show you what exactly, just what it was, well, how it looked throughout its entire life. So here, let me get that pulled up real quick. That could be just a little bit. But yeah, I'll get that pulled up for you. Alright, so there we go. Any second now. Here we go. So this is satellite imagery of Hurricane Harvey. Just overall throughout its life. So this is just a short imagery stack of Harvey. And there it is going over the Yucatan. And this is it comes up. Now these are high resolution images. And here it is as it does head up towards the coast. Here's a cool eye shot, and there you go. There's the eye of the storm. That doesn't look too great though, so I'll just go to the one that does look a little bit better. There we go. This one looks better. I think that you guys will like this a little more. So there you go. There is Harvey's satellite imagery. So we can just start. Let's go over the history of Harvey overall. Harvey started as this little itty bitty tropical system. You can see it right here. It's not really moving that quickly at all. Uh, and it's actually overall just a weakening storm. And now it's actually completely dead by this point. So looking at it at this point, here it is. It's nearly a completely dead storm. And here is where Harvey decides to re-strengthen a bit. So you can see it here. Here it is as it begins to blow back up. So as Harvey does begin to blow back up, there it goes. You can see now that huge thunderstorm plume right around there. And then you can see the spin in Hurricane Harvey because of its intensity. You can see there that eye peek out some as it was headed toward Texas, and it was just becoming abnormally strong. And then you can see there, boom, that's a huge plume of thunderstorms. And after that, this is where Harvey decided to make its landfall, its dramatic landfall on Texas, where it would cause great destruction to Texas. And here you are, there it is, the direct landfall, the Category 4 hurricane landfall. And you can see here, and this each image of this is a half an hour or so. And so if you take every single one of these frames, you can see just how long it rained over Texas and just how crazy it was. But that is Harvey's life. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If there are any other hurricanes that you would just like to see some satellite of, just let me know and I can pull that up for you. It can be any hurricane at all, and I will be more than glad to pull that up for you. But continuing on now, just with the main star of the show, that being Irma. Irma is, yeah, it's looking like it's going to go up. And I'll just give all the places that are within the National Hurricane Center's cone of uncertainty. So let me just turn this on. There you go. You can see the official forecast track. See if they've updated the cone. No, but you can see here within the cone we do have Haiti, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Leeward Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas, and it's looking like if this cone were to be extrapolated some in the model runs, I would not be surprised if I saw something like this for the cone of uncertainty. Oh dear, oops, there we go. There you go. So that's how you see that. Yeah, you'd probably see something that looked a little bit more like this. But yeah, still a very impressive, very, very, very impressive hurricane here. But yeah, so this is just super duper impressive. I'm really happy with just all the people watching this. Thank you all so much. And yeah, you probably did see Skype on the side there. I have one computer with this software on it, and I have another computer that's streaming it. And so what I'm doing is I'm screen sharing using Skype, the software on this computer, onto the computer that you're hearing me from right now, because neither one is powerful to run them both at the same time. All right. Well, getting into some more stuff about this, the Category 3 storm is a beast. If we look at the satellite imagery from GOES, and you can see here the current location. You can see satellite imagery is not updating for this, so maybe if I go shortwave, maybe dirty window IR. That's not doing anything. It's still keeping it right here, which is a little weird to me that it's keeping it here. But that's okay. Maybe the Hurricane Center just got the geography a little wrong. Either way, this is still moving up, and we're still seeing this hurricane possibly striking the United States of America. Alright, well, I have decided that we can I'll just take requests of really anything now. Any questions about the storm, any questions about anything else, any crazy what if questions, what if this, what if that, you know, just whatever you want to ask me, I'll do my best to answer, if it involves weather. So yeah, if you do have any questions for that, I'd be more than happy to answer those. Yes, it does look as if the United States will be impacted by this Category 3 hurricane. Alright. So here's what we're looking at. I'm going to just pull up for those that are new to watching, Here's the HWRF weather model for you. So here it is, the HWRF, and we'll just go all the way back to where Irma really is now. So this is Irma currently about around a Category 3 hurricane, and here it is now, a Category 4. And here's what I'm going to show you. This is about 5 days out. And the Leeward Islands is a Category 5 hurricane. This is what this model predicts, and it's pretty nuts. And if we actually do take a look at the simulated infrared satellite, simulated infrared also shows some nutso stuff here. So if you see the if we go back to where we are now, here it is. And this is what I'm showing. Look at this. This is a very symmetric, very powerful looking hurricane. And then look at this. This would be unreal. Well, this is unreal. And it's not. You're never going to see a hurricane that looks like this ever. Because that literally, you'll never see an eye big enough to where this spot. There's a spot you see in there. It's in the eye, and these are 6-hour increments for 12 hours. You're not going to see something like that, I promise. It's not going to be like this. But yeah, let's see. What technology do you use, and how is the information acquired for accuracy? So for the technology that I just use two computers. I use a laptop and a desktop. My laptop is acquired with the software that you see that shows the NHC forecast cone and the weather models and stuff sometimes. And then my streaming computer is it's a more beefy computer. It has an AMD FX 6300 and a GTX 1050 Ti. Those are fairly good computer components. And then the information I use and how I acquire it for accuracy, I use a website called tropicaltidbits.com for my stuff. I know this is accurate because it uses, if you go to the current storm info, it uses the automated tropical cyclone forecast system, and that's how I know, because that's also what is used over at the National Hurricane Center. That's how I know this is accurate. I can also look at forecast models here, like the GFS, the CMWF, and I guess I don't know for like 100% that these are accurate, but I'm pretty sure that this is an accurate representation of the GFS. And how I can guarantee that is that not just using Tropical Tidbits, but Windy. If I go to windy.com, which is another source I use, and I go to the GFS model, and I show the GFS outed around the same time period, it predicts the same thing. And that's how I really know that these are all accurate as well. I also do use the ECMWF. Now, I know these are accurate. The GFS, if you look it up, is one of the most reliable weather models on Earth. The ECMWF is the most reliable weather model on Earth, and is but still does get things wrong quite often. Alright, Hyperfire asks, what if a meteor hit the United States? Well, it would first of all depend on where the meteor struck. It depends on if it struck California, Missouri. It could strike anywhere. But let's just say that it struck because, well, for funsies, let's say that it decided to strike Washington, D.C. And the size of the meteor, we'll say, when it landed, was about 5 or 6 football fields wide, going at terminal velocity. So we would experience mass extinction if something like that happened. So, well, everyone around Washington, D.C. would die. We'd see a huge plume of smoke and stuff going all around, all the way from probably Missouri into the central Atlantic Ocean. Thunderstorm activity would be on the rise. It would overall just be a really bad situation, and something that you would not want to be a part of. Something that would actually be even worse than that is if the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted, because the entire United States would be covered in smoke and ash. So, yeah, that's pretty great. But yeah, that's a good question by Hyperfire. Alright, for those that are new watching, let's just get the basis of what exactly is going on down right now. We have a hurricane called Hurricane Irma out here in the Atlantic, the central Atlantic Ocean. And this hurricane is going to go and hit the Leeward Islands and probably Puerto Rico, according to the National Hurricane Center. If I minimize this and I open up the National Hurricane Center forecast, and I get that ready for you, and I get the official forecast and the cone of uncertainty here, this is what you get. So this is the forecast that the National Hurricane Center has given for Irma, expecting it to strengthen to a Category 4 within the next 12 hours. Then the hurricane is expected to most likely go and well, weaken back down to a Category 3 according to the Hurricane Center. After that, this hurricane will go on up and probably hit somewhere on the East Coast. I personally predict this will be a Category 5 hurricane at some point in its life. Despite the rarity of such a thing, this is one of those hurricanes that could easily do that. Alright, well, we are about 10 minutes until top of the hour, so I'll just go over Irma's stats again. A pressure of 969 hectopascals and a winds of 115 miles an hour. This is moving around due west at 14 miles per hour. The storm is expected to continue on its west-southwest motion and then turn northwest. The overall structure of this is actually as follows. So here's what we're getting right now in the Hurricane Center forecast cone. It actually helps with this, because here's what we got. We got a high pressure system, we got a low pressure system, we got another low pressure system, that being a trough. So what we're getting right now is we're getting this low. This low wasn't impacting, was actually an impact before while Irma was out here. And if Irma had just formed a little farther back, Irma would have gone up here, but it didn't, and it went through. So now the high is bringing it back down south, but the low is going to bring it back up and make it recurve around. So that's what's going on with the structure overall of this. And Hyperfire puts in chat, St. Louis. So, does that mean you want, like, St. Louis weather? Is that what we're talking about? Just what's going on right now and what you think is going to happen in the future? Not exactly sure about that. If you could go a little bit more in depth with that for me, that would be great. If it was just something random, then that's fine too. So now for also those that are new to watching this, here's the 5-day formation outlook for hurricanes. So we have Irma already, obviously, but we have two systems that could form. This first one is probably going to become Jose within the next 5 days. And this system is probably not going to develop at all, so we don't need to worry about it. But either way, this is still very, very exciting. Now I am going to, just for a few minutes, be gone. Actually, first though, before I do that, Jordan asks, do I work as a meteorologist? I'm not officially a meteorologist by any means. I'd need to get a degree in atmospheric science and stuff like that. I'm not there. I'm still a ways away from going to college and doing that, but at this point I'm just really into weather, and I have learned quite a bit about it just by looking things up over the past 4 to 5 years. And I just started up this channel because I thought that it would be something fun to do, and this is where I've gotten. So yeah, I'm very happy with where I've come from, and I'm very happy with where I'm at now. But yeah, anyone really can get into weather and do this if they just try hard enough and they persist with it long enough. Alright, Nate Tyler asking, think it could possibly skim up the coast like Matthew did. Could Irma do that? Yes, Irma could do that. Irma could definitely do that. If we go over here, if we just go up and over, you can see this is what we could see. We could see something just off the coast. We could see something really close to the coast. Landfalls in some models are indicating a landfall in North Carolina. So here I will go and just show you that model real quick. For those that weren't here for it, I guess you guys can see it too. But here it is. We're going to show the precipitatable water. Here right around now, which is about 3 hours later. Alright, thank you Jonathan Beasley for subscribing to me on YouTube. Okay, now that I have gotten that, let's go and see what exactly this is going to do. So, we'll start with it here. This is right around where it is. And this is how it's going to move along. So you can see the hurricane as it moves, and you can see it moving toward the Puerto Rico area of the Lesser Antilles. Right, and thanks Jordan for thinking this is very cool. And Hyperfire says that no, it was not St. Louis weather. It was just probably just something random, trolling or something. Which is fine. I troll too. But here's the hurricane right here. So this is where the hurricane is. It's very strong at this point. Probably around a category 4 or 5. And as this hurricane moves along, the hurricane continues and is getting ready to slam in to the Carolinas according to this model. You can see Florida getting all kinds of moisture there, and you can see there's the hurricane going into South and North Carolina, and there you go, kabam. And then it goes inland, well inland. And there we go, and now it is over Newfoundland, right around here. And then Hyperfire says, what about a tsunami? I'm guessing, what about if a tsunami hits the United States? Well, it would depend on if it's the eastern or western coast or the Gulf Coast. Let's say it was the East Coast. We'd see Florida pretty much underwater. We would probably see some of the wave remain and hit some inland areas. New Orleans wouldn't be doing so good. New York would be submerged. Eastern coast would be submerged. A lot of people would die. It would not be good. there we go. But yeah, so this system could move up into the Carolinas. But yeah, this is nearly the exact same location that Matthew was at one point when it came up the coast and did something like that. But yeah, so the Bahamas could get hit 3 years in a row by a strong Category 4 to 5 hurricane. And then you can see behind Irma, you can see Jose, Tropical Storm Jose, and we're about to hit top of the hour, 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And about 10 minutes from now, the stream will be ending. But this system is looking like it's going to recurve and go out to sea. So you can see Jose there, just going out to sea. And there you go. That's actually Jose over Newfoundland, not Irma. That was incorrect by me. So let's see. There was this one person that asked earlier if this would be a bad storm for the United Kingdom. So let's see what would happen. So the storm kind of merges with this inflow and does hit the United Kingdom. Alright, yeah, there we go. UK does get hit by that. Alright, well that is interesting. Okay, so now that we are done with that, if you do have any other questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will be more than happy to answer those as time does go on, as I can provide more information on Hurricane Irma. Alright, well, I guess we can just talk about what exactly the impacts of Irma could be. Let's actually take a look at something I looked at earlier, although did not really, I haven't really shown since. Here we are, I'm on a website called windy.com that I was showing just a little bit earlier. And we're going to take a look at the wave heights of Irma. So we're going to start with the ECMWF, which is the world's most reliable weather model. And I'm going to use this because this is the best weather model. So this will be the one that I show you because it's the most likely scenario at this time. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, there we go. Let's see here, wind-produced waves. So this is waves produced by wind, but let's just go to all waves so we can see the overall wave height. So for the overall wave height, right now we can see waves of up to around 32 feet in Hurricane Irma. Now that's already pretty high. That's higher than Harvey was able to produce, and so we're already getting into dangerously high territory. Storm continues along in its tracks, and you can now see this purple starting to show up here. Those are waves of up to around 39-40 feet or so. You can then see overall, here is the storm as it does head up and get pretty close. You can see up to 45 feet. That is the height of some of these waves. Alright, well, taking a look and just continuing on with this storm, it shows this getting 49 feet, 50 feet, 50 feet. That's amazingly high. That's nuts. That's higher than Katrina. That's higher than, I think, most, if not all, Atlantic storms here. This is pretty crazy, just how low the pressure, I meant not just how low the pressure, although that is also pretty crazy, but just how high these waves are getting. You can then continue to take a look at these waves. 51 feet. It's very impressive just how high these waves are able to get from Irma if the ECMWF is correct, which it tends to be. 55 feet. That's high. That's very high. These waves are just nuts. So, yeah, just hopefully we will be able to not have waves this high, because that would be a huge problem. You know what? You know what it would be like? It would be like if a tsunami hit the East Coast. If these waves came up from Irma. It would be as if a tsunami hit there. Which was actually a question that Hyperfire was asking. What if a tsunami hit the East Coast? The simple area is everyone there would probably die. The not so simple answer is power would go out, there would be mass flooding, there would be people in a panic, there would be rise in crime, there would be lots of people evacuating, causing awful traffic throughout the entire country. This would be making the world news. There would be people boarding up their shops. It would be a very complicated process, and it depends on how intense the tsunami would be as well. Here is Irma still with those 40 feet waves, which is just nuts. Yeah, you can see Jose behind it, which with waves of only around 25 feet, which are still pretty high. But you can see that 35-foot waves going there, and then the ECMWF showing us giant bulk of waves here. You can see that gigantic bulk of waves, 51 feet or so high, 52 feet. And then you can watch these waves. Watch the waves. Looks like it's about to go out to sea. GFS? Look at the waves it shows. 57 feet. That would be crazy. That's just crazy. Yeah, Hyperfire's with me. He's like going, Jesus Christ. Yeah. This ain't good. It'll be kinda bad if we get waves that high. Because, well, that would just be a problem. Alright, well, this stream is only going to last for about 5 more minutes or so until, well, this stream will end. I may do another one later tonight. Probably won't. Maybe one tomorrow. We'll see. But, yeah, this stream has been fun. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's just continue along and see what would the rain look like. So first of all, here's the rain looking at the ECMWF. Here it is, and you can see massive amounts of rain in Irma's wake. Here's the weird thing. The ECMWF expects us to go out to sea. That's, like, really weird to me. The GFS, on the other hand, is doing what I think it'll do. I mean, the ECMWF is the most reliable model, but that is a little odd. I do think that it will be, I don't think it'll go that far out. But yeah, you can see here the Carolinas getting hit by the GFS. And that's just a problem. So yeah, like I said, if you do have any questions or comments, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer those before the stream does end. Only a few minutes left, but I am willing to go late if your question, if you do have a question. So, you know, it's not a strict time frame. This is just when I was planning to get off. So, you know, just whatever. Whatever questions you have, just ask them now. You don't have much more time to do it. If we go here, we can see 4.8, 6.2 inches. This is per hour. 6.2 inches per hour. Where'd I find that? 6.4 inches per hour. That's nuts! That's crazy! You don't see that every day. So, like here, let's see what the rainfall is here. It's not quite as intense. But yeah, Irma is going to be just a nutso storm. It's going to be crazy. But you can see here, the ECMWF. I'm just going to bring the ECMWF back here because the ECMWF shows a Cat 5 hurricane here. 155 miles an hour. Here we are. If we get above that 157 threshold, that's a Category 5. 156. It did show a Category 5 though once. Either way, it's just 1 mile an hour away now, but still, Irma looking like it will be a bad hurricane for the United States. Alrighty, well, it is about time that I do get going. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this live stream, hit the like button down below. If you didn't, you know where that button is. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!